Hello folks, this is lab04 demonstration for COSC 1436 2010 fall. This is nosotolin as a fatty. I'm going to do a brief description of what the lab is all about and how to approach it. This is one of the solutions I'm offering here. However, there might be many others. We are trying to do a top-down design of a parking garage problem. First is the structure chart. Your main is broken down to 5 routines. You're going to get the user info by asking about the top of the vehicle, the hour the car got in the garage, the minute it got in the garage, the hour it got out of the garage, and the minute it got out of the garage. Then you are going to calculate the time they spent in the garage. For all intents purposes, we want to keep it simple. Everything happened within 24 hours. There's no overlapping of the time to the next day. And again, for the simplicity, we want to round up the time if it is a minute over the hour they spend in the garage. For example, if a vehicle stopped in the garage at 5 hours and 3 minutes, we're going to assume that it has been there 6 hours. And the rate structure is in your handout for the lab. We're going to determine, depending on the type of vehicle, what type of rate we should charge them. And finally, we are going to calculate the charges based on the number of hours they spend in the garage, and the last part to print the bill. Here is how your main routine should look like. Again, we're going to break it down into 5 functions. You're going to have your include statements and defining your constants for the rates for your car, second rate for the car, the truck, second rate for the truck, a bus, and the second rate for the bus. Then you're going to define your function prototypes, 5 of those, 1 for each of the function you're going to be using. In this example, I'm passing variables using pass by address or pass by reference. That's why on get info we're going to have 5 variables. The first one is vehicle. I put asterisk in front of the vehicle of type character. This is passing the address of the vehicle variable to the routine, so we can change, if you have to, the variable down there in the routine. Next one is hour in, minute in, hour out, and minute out. The next routine is time. In this particular routine, all we are doing is calculating the hour park time and the minute park time and the rounded total and the rounded hours. Again, the asterisk in front of the variable saying that these are passed by reference. If you notice, all my function prototypes, they have the type void in front of them, which means I'm not returning anything out of those functions. Just basically I'm dealing with changing the variable within the function itself. The next function is the rate function. Again, I'm passing by the value, the first one as the vehicle, second one I'm passing by reference or the address of the units. Next one is the first rate I'm passing by reference. Next one is the second rate, which means the units, the first rate and second rate, will get changed in the rate routine. The next function is charge. Again, the type is void, and in this one only the total charges will be the variable that get affected and be changed. And again, there is nothing returned out of this function. And finally, the last routine or the last function is the print. In this print function, I have all the variables that I've calculated and nothing get changed. So I'm basically printing those out. Here's my main routine continued, some more variable, and int main, starting off the main body of the program. On the old version of the C++, you might need that void inside the parentheses. The new one, you may just leave it out. Here is invocation, or invoking these 5 functions. Get info has 5 variables. Notice the ampersand in front of these variables. That means I am using passed by reference method of working with these variables. The next one is time, the next one is rate, the next one is charge, and the next one is print function that I'm invoking. And finally, I return 0, last statement of the main. Here's my get info. I have a function definition for get info, starting with void get info, and then I declare character to be of asterisk reference or address reference for vehicle, integer, again asterisk, hour in, hour out, minute out. Okay. Now, when I try to read in the top of the vehicle, in my cin statement, I'm reading into the location of where the vehicle variable is. So it's visible to everybody in the program. Now I do the same with the other parts that I'm reading in. I didn't do a validation of the inputs, but I need you to put that in your program when you are writing your own program. Validate that your input is valid. The hours are between 0 and 23 hours, and the minutes are between 0 and 60, and the type of the vehicle that they get, it's either lowercase c or uppercase c, lowercase b, uppercase b, and lowercase t and uppercase t. If they are not within these valid ranges, you want to terminate your program and exit and give a message that whichever input they did wrong need to be recorrected and start the program all over again. This is not the type of program that you can re-enter from a point and start doing from the corrected point after. They have to start all over from the beginning. The next routine or next function is the time function. And again, I'm passing by value the hour in, hour out, minute in, minute out, and I'm doing pass by reference for hour part time, minute part time, rounded total, and round variable. First thing I do in this routine, I want to make sure that my minute out is not less than the minute in. If it is, I want to add 60 to the minute out, and I take away 1 from hour out. So when I do subtract the minute in and minute out, I wouldn't come up with the negative number. Okay. Then I'm calculating what is the hour part time and the minute part time. The next if statement, if the asterisk minute part time is greater than or equal to 1, I want to round up and bump my variable to the next hour. And then I store that to the rounded total. Okay? There are a couple of redundancy in this coding. I just put it there for your understanding how things happen. Actually, in the statement that I'm doing, the hour part time and minute part time, these two statements can be taken out and transposed after the whole if statement, so you don't see it duplicated in the two part of the if statement here. And the same thing with the round and total round calculations. Anyways, the next one is my rate routine. This is where I use a case statement and a switch. I say switch vehicle. If the vehicle that I have is lowercase c or uppercase C, I want to put 3 in the address location units, so everybody can have access to it, all the other routines. And then I'm going to put the constant first car rate into address location asterisk first rate. And then I want to also put second car rate constant into an address location second rate. And then I want to break. This break will jump me out of this whole case statement and send me out of the whole rate function. The next part is checking for lowercase t and uppercase t. If it's any of those, I want to put 2 in the units, and I want to set my first rate and second rate to be the first truck rate and second truck rate, and then I want to break away. The next part is I want to check for lowercase b and uppercase b, and I want to set the units to be 1. And again, the first rate be first boss rate, second rate, second boss rate, and I want to break away. And then there's a default that I want to output a message saying that they didn't have a valid input for the letter top of the vehicle. In reality, if you did your validation in the input routine, this statement never really gets executed because you already have caught the pure good input that comes in here. And finally, notice that I'm doing return out of this rate routine. Why do I do return? Nothing after it, no zero, no other parentheses, no other variable inside there. This is because the type of the rate is void, which means I am not returning anything out of this function. If you have looked at the chapter in the book that talks about different types for your function, anytime you have a void in front of the function name in your function prototype and function definition, it means nothing is being returned out of this function. It's just something note to you for why we have return semicolon at the last part of these functions. The next one is the easiest of all. I'm going to calculate the charges. I already have the rounded time they spend there. I know what the units they have for their car, truck, or bus. Is it 3, is it 2, or is it 1? And I know their first rate and second rate. The only thing I don't know is the total charge that I'm going to calculate in this routine, and this one is address referenced correctly because we want to make it visible and pass it to the other routines they can use it. So I check to see if the rounded total is less than or equal to units. If it is, then the total charge would be calculated by multiplying the rounded total times the first rate. Otherwise, my charges would be equal to units times first rate plus rounded total minus the units times the second rate. And then I return nothing out of this routine. And last part, the print routine. I left it to you to have fun with it and put down a bunch of cout statements to basically format and print every calculation that you have done with all the variables that you pass to this routine. This routine will get all the variables in the form of passed by value. It doesn't change none of those values, it just merely print them out. Have fun and have a good day. The end.